this is Jenna Burt, host of the Confessions of a Military Spouse podcast. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hello, my friend. How are you doing? I hope that you're having a great week. I am super excited. I'm heading on a trip to Hawaii, and Eric really encouraged me to take a trip after I had a miscarriage just to process and have some time away to think, reflect, and just enjoy myself. I'm super grateful for that. If we have not met, hi, my name is Julianne, and I am a miscarriage mom. I'm a rainbow mama. I'm married to Eric. We have a rescue boxer, Wyatt. I have been an entrepreneur for 7 years, and we've been a full-time family, and Eric being a part of our family business for the last 4 years, which is super awesome and wild and crazy here in Silicon Valley. It has been such a ride and such a joy. I want to share my stories and experiences to help you feel understood, that you have a voice, it's not silenced, and sometimes we just don't know how to use it. Sometimes we don't know how to word it. And so maybe if you hear my experiences and journey, then you feel seen and you find a way to share your experiences. So Rewritten has been around for almost 3 years, and it seeks to empower other people to rewrite their story no matter their current circumstances or past, that you can really rewrite your story. You can live the life that you want and create success on your own terms. I think that the world has taught us success is a dollar sign or being recognized and appreciated and all these things. And I just think success looks different on every single person. Success and a happy life to someone feels different to every other person. And so I just want you to find whatever that might be. It might be a really simple way of living. It might be a life full of adventure. I don't know. It's your discovery. It's your time to figure that out. For me, success is truly living fulfilled each and every single day, and to create memories in my life and to be present with my family and to be intentional with the relationships that I have in my life. That is success. And I follow simple systems. I follow a very consistent pattern to help with that. I don't think that money buys happiness, and I think that happiness is a choice and it starts now. I do think that money can make life more convenient, and I also think it can help you create more experiences in your life. And so that's kind of how I view money, but the success for me are the memories I'm making, the way I'm living my life. And I'm very thankful to have a vision with a business that also allows other people to do that and find their own version of success, but then also do that for myself. And so my life, I don't know if other people would choose based on the risks I've taken and the life that I lead. And that doesn't really matter as long as I am seeking my highest potential and living authentically matters most. And so success just looks different on every single person. And it's not your degrees, it's not credentials. And we can get really lost in that, thinking that we're more credible or people now know how to respect us or it makes us known. And I think that we can lose sight of who God has truly created us to be. I think it's so much more beyond on what we do and what our job is. It is how we are living out our potential in our life. And I've been blinded by that sometimes, defeated by that sometimes, and I have often felt I'm not smart enough, I don't know enough, why would anyone want to listen to me, I'm too much for people, I'm too relentless, I push too hard, I dream too big, I take too many risks, all the things. And what I've realized is that I don't think any of that ever minimizes completely out. I think that it's not so big when you work on yourself. And so I just wanted to share that. But I appreciate you being here so much. I love Rewritten. I love being able to just chat with you and just be an encouragement to you. I think that personal growth is so vital. There's a couple things that I've been learning the last few weeks, maybe months, and this is something that I've learned along the way, but I would just say is a little bit more bright in my life in the last few weeks and months. And those two things are, we've got to flip the script. I know I talk about this all the time, and really evaluate how we're talking to ourselves. So I just mentored my team on using the word stuck, that I feel just so stuck. I just think of, I gave this example of when we step out of our car into a pile of mud, a muddy puddle, all of that sticks to our shoe, and we're frustrated about that. We don't like it when water gets into our shoe and our socks get wet. We don't like that our white shoes all of a sudden turn brown. In fact, that reminds me of Faye's current favorite book, which is Pete the Cat and His Groovy Shoes. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, we read it all the time, so it's kind of ridiculous that I cannot say the title correctly. It is fine. But basically, it's just all good. It's all good. They turned red, they turned blue, they turned brown, and then they got wet, and we just roll with it. Like, we just keep on going. And I have found so many people saying, I'm just so stuck. And they just cling to these reasons and cling to these excuses. And it just doesn't feel good when you're walking on a sidewalk and you accidentally step in dog poop. You are frustrated. It is stinky. It is so gross. And that's all you can think about. I personally want to throw my shoe away after that happens. And it's just gross. So you either go to the grass, try to rub it off, you spray it down, whatever. You just want to get it off because it's just stuck there. I feel that's the same when we use the word stuck on our journey of growth. It's such a hindrance. And we don't even realize it. That when we say we're stuck, it impacts our mood, our belief. It impacts the actions that we take. We lessen our work. We get lackadaisical. We get distracted. We pick Netflix instead. We get defeated. We feel like we're not enough. It just keeps on going. And it's such a problem. Using the word stuck doesn't help you move through things. It really messes with you subconsciously. And then you either get really aggressive or you get really reserved and held back. You're not as authentic. Maybe you're coming from a pushy place. You're coming from a frustrated place. And I don't know about you, but determined and frustrated are totally different feelings for me. If I'm frustrated, the day probably isn't going to go well. I'm going to stub my toe. I'm going to read into things, notice all the lack and slack going on. But when I'm determined and coming from a belief state, I feel unstoppable. And there's such a difference. And so if you find yourself clinging to the word stuck, the first thing you need to do is recognize that. And the second thing you need to do is dive into personal development. Rewrite that and remind yourself what brings you joy. Especially in business, when I work with women who just want more choices and freedom, they want to earn extra income. And if they're using and clinging to the word stuck, that's just going to tell them they're not enough and they're not good at it. And then they're going to quit or they're going to stop. And I already know what builds a big life in business is consistency. And so it's really hard to stay consistent when you're feeling, quote unquote, stuck. Dive into personal development. Remind yourself of what brings you joy. Why did you get started on your journey in the first place? And have some freaking fun and then become determined. That's the first step, right? So that's one thing that has stuck out to me in the last few weeks. And then the next thing that has stuck out to me in the last few weeks, but this is something I'm just naturally good at, is just creating boundaries in my life. And it's what I say yes to and what I say no to. Boundaries on who I let into my life, who I give my space to. I think that this is something we weren't taught growing up. And so especially seeing Faye, I want her to understand boundaries. And it could even be something as consent, right? If you're tickling her and she puts her arm out to say stop it's saying okay and not going through with that, right? Or vice versa. If I say something and she's, playing with me and I say no, and then she does it again, it's my responsibility to teach her boundaries and consent on my end as well. And so I've had to do that in a lot of relationships. And as an 8 on the Enneagram, that's something I'm naturally good at and I voice because I really believe in authenticity, and I believe in respect, and I believe in just people being genuine and not fake and not chasing just fake things or being a fake person. I can just read through it and I don't tolerate it. And that can sound harsh. I'm very particular. And that doesn't mean we have to write everything off and be in disagreement or be passive aggressive. It doesn't mean that. In fact, I think it can be approached in such a really positive, powerful, respectful way. But either way, I'm going to make sure boundaries are placed in my life. And this is something I have to practice as well. So, what I'm saying yes to, what I'm saying no to, who is in my life, what I'm allowing in my life is really important to me because I want to operate from my best self. And if I have people who are constantly talking about other people, I just know that is lessening my character and it's lessening their character, and it just doesn't feel good. And so really taking ownership of that. It doesn't feel good when someone is trying to hurt someone else. And as an 8, that's really hard for me. Or if people are spreading lies or things like that, where it's like, I don't want to be around that. I don't want to be around a personality like that, or a situation, or a staff, or coworkers, whoever it may be. We're all going to run into it, right? It's just not okay. And so for me, establishing boundaries has been a really important way for me to stay on my path of growth. And when you establish boundaries, not everyone is going to appreciate that. And that's fair. That's fair because that's hard. They might feel rejected or feel sad or feel attacked or feel whatever. And I even think about this too, like if you have someone who constantly blows up your phone or is gaslighting or things like that, it's really important to create those boundaries for your own mental health and emotional health. And so what I do is I'm pretty direct of, hey, that time won't work for me, or thanks for thinking of me. I'm not going to be able to make it, or just no, thank you. I'm pretty good at just saying that. Or just saying, hey, I need some space. I need some time to think. I've set boundaries, and I've had to tell people in my life over the course of my life of I can't be the friend that you're seeking me to be. And it is not easy for me to do that, but I also know it's for the best interest. And so those are a few of the things that I have been discovering in the past few weeks, few months, few years, I guess, in just different ways. It kind of comes in forms of waves. But I really care about growth, and I really care about the people who are in my life, and I really care about making sure that my mental and emotional state is at a good peak because of my family and the decisions that I make daily, that I just don't want to feel stressed. I also don't want to feel like I can't trust, and I just don't want to be around people who aren't living the same way, in a similar way. We're not all the same, but I have high expectations of that kind of character. It kind of reminds me of a time when Eric was hanging out with some friends from college once I want to say we were married, and they were all, I shouldn't say all of them, a few of them were saying not the kindest things about the people they were dating or married to, whether they were complaining about them or just in a state of, wasn't a happy conversation. And one of them leaned over and said, all right, Eric, go ahead and share with us. And he, in that moment, realized he had outgrown those people because he didn't want to sit around bashing me or talking poorly of me, because he loves me and respects me and just realized that. And so then after that, he created boundaries of, he didn't want to spend more time with them and maybe catch up with them every once in a while, but not to where they're all hanging out all the time, just because that's just not a good influence on the direction that you wanted to go or that he wanted to go. So it's not just me setting boundaries. Eric and I set boundaries in our marriage of, being very aware of proximity and relationships with the opposite sex and who we chat with. We're very open about different things. And so that is something we've always been aware of. And that's not the most comfortable thing to talk about, but that has been a huge thing for us as well, of the protection of our marriage and really talking about some hard things and just creating boundaries of, what is appropriate and what is not, what we need to be proactive about, and just continue to do that. And now as parents, we're doing that as well with Faye, especially as she starts to interact with different people now, of making sure that there are boundaries, whether it's in parenthood or just for her safety as well. So it's not comfortable, but at the end of the day, it sets you up for way better success. Thanks for tuning in to Rewritten. It matters to me. Thank you so much. If you could screenshot this, upload it, tag me at Julianne Condia, I would be so incredibly grateful. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.